Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review or comic review of Fantasy Masterpieces. This is issue 7. This is all the way back from February 1967. It's quite tatty. You can see it's falling to pieces. Lovely rip there. Lots of tape all over it. February 1967. Obviously Marvel. 68 pages. I love these 68 pages. Absolutely brilliant. You've got 60. Nice square bound there as well. I always enjoyed that. There's something special about those. Marvel Collector's Item Classics, Marvel Tales. They did loads of them. Why don't they do more of that sort of thing now? But of course, if they did, they would probably be about $10, I expect. Not 25 cents. Hard to imagine 25 cents. I love also they always have that as well. Just always great. So you've got Human Torch, Submariner, and Captain America. Always love this bit as well. This is always great. However, you've got the credits there. However, the credits do not include Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Don Heck, etc. Really? Why not include those? The actual stories. Of course, now many of these have been restored, far better quality than this. But of course, some people might actually prefer this style. May prefer this one. Perfectly reasonable. I love it. This is just as enjoyable. But of course, the restored ones, they've really got more punchy colours, more really saturated. Not everyone likes that. So, but I think sometimes the inking's a bit. So, in many ways, I would have loved to see them in the actual original black and whites. If they'd had those, of course, it would have been superb to see that. It never worries me, the black and white. So, but still, I love that with him. He's restoring the track there. Actually, now this is a Human Torch story. So you've got Human Torch all the way through. You've got Betty Dean. I think that's Betty Dean there again, burning her way through there. It was a pity, actually, when they did this story. You'd think they would have brought in Captain America, but I guess because, of course, this was June 1940, they wouldn't have done. Obviously, 1941, a bit later, wasn't it, Captain America? But still, you think they could have done a story a little later where they had all three in a battle. Sort of would have been a real glorious battle. I'm surprised they never thought about doing that. But anyway, still, you thought this must have been a real big seller at the time. You thought they would have thought, you know what, let's do another. Nowadays, of course, every time they bring out one crossover event, let's bring out 50 of them. So I'm surprised they never did it more often. But then you've got Submariner, look at that, just that's it. Firebug just down at the bottom. He's wrecking the George Washington Bridge. I assume there is a George Washington Bridge, no idea. I love the bit when he lands on he's got a bit here where he lands on the Empire State Building as well. He's in a zoo at this point, he's doing various things. Big boy. Oh, no, you don't, he says there. Actually, he's quite... Sometimes the pictures, when you look at it, you think, oh, the size of the verse. It's very odd. I'll be back, he says there. Oh, it says Burgos there. I was thinking, obviously, at least you can actually see the eyes. Very, very scratchy, sort of just down the bottom there, Burgos. Unbelievable. They just put that. Wonder why they didn't put it at the start. But anyway. Monsters on Mercury. Absolutely. This is a lovely one. Steve Ditko, of course. Brilliant. You always know Ditko straight away. As soon as it's got that 5-page story, telepathic monsters. But of course, there's a twist. And I'm surprised this has not been included in any festive collections. It should be. Festive collection story. Because whenever they do Marvel, I wish they'd bring out a Christmas collection one. I'm surprised they haven't recently. I love those sort of Marvel sort of holiday sort of special treasury editions and those things. Always great, but this is a lovely one, and just a great little story. So next on to the next one, because I don't want to spoil the end, but of course I've just probably spoiled it slightly by saying they're festive. You got here Prince Namor, just absolutely. Bill Everett, of course. The artwork is, the artwork's brilliant, but at the same time, unfortunately, because of the way it's done, the inking is just, it really smudges it really badly. So you got Betty Dean there. And it's the first time I didn't realise actually. Obviously, she didn't know who he was at this point. I mean, she had to go and sort of find him and sort things out. And you can see Betty Dean there. I've always called her Betty Ross, but it's not Betty Dean apparently. And you got her obviously being pulled out of the water, and she then pulls a gun out of the water. Would that work? I don't know. No idea. Doesn't seem to be the best one. But however, the guy is completely bulletproof anyway, so what use was that? But there he is, going through, smashing through, because he can smash with, a submarine. You think, well, hang on, I think he'd probably be okay when a bullet hitting him or something, but what do I know about that sort of thing? And there he is. It's just great. But they were really powerful stories all the same. They were really dramatic. I mean, that's the thing that's quite amazing. Hammering the shells and Nazi bomber there. And they were relentless. There was no stopping the story. You know, people didn't say, oh, let's sit down, have a cup of coffee or have a nice meal or something or chat. There was like boom, 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 all the way through. And it's just like ship sort of, you like one panel, bang, ships overturned. No sort of messing. Now it would be spread over about 10 pages. But still, pretty impressive. And I love the writing as well. I mean, look at that. Submarine. Just very dramatic writing. It was like very intense. They wouldn't do that sort of lettering now. It's great lettering. I love this sort of lettering, sort of style that's like that. And it's sometimes very uneven as well, but, you know, it's still at the same time. Just, I think it's great. Obviously, you got there. That was the Submariner. By George. Yeah. Punishment. I love this one, of course. This still the usual twist end. I'm not going to spoil the end. Punishment, but it's like so predictable. It's like he's done a crime, so he's got. I love Don Heck's work. I'm surprised they haven't brought out an omnibus edition of Don Heck yet. They should. They got a Steve Ditko one. They brought out what's his name. Why not? Bill Everett collection would be brilliant as well. But Don Heck, I love Don Heck's work. Okay, he was not like Kirby, but still. But you know, you're going to be sent for punishment to a certain place. Predictable. However, let's not spoil the story, but you can guess the ending, I think. And this one, Titan, the amphibian from Atlantis. And absolutely, I love always the job codes as well. Always great job codes. And also when you see these things, I love the things because, of course, Jack Kirby, you can really see. And this one, when was this? April 1962. Obviously, slightly a bit, obviously, after the Fantastic Four, because even the panel there, look at that. That near enough looks straight out of sort of a Reed Richards kind of thing. And this there, with the, I thought straight away I saw that, you think, that definitely looks like Fantastic Four. And even the monsters are a bit like the Fantastic Four one, actually. You got Titan, you got this guy. And of course, it's always this monster that's completely unstoppable, blah, blah, blah. And mankind has to do this and do that. And it's a good story. It's always a good yarn. Over 6 pages, told well. It's a bit of a daft ending, but still pretty good. I love it. And then all my favourites. Why they haven't brought out a book of these, I would love to see that. Marvel Bullpen bulletins and also the checklists. I would love just to see a book of all these pages because they're just great. I always enjoy reading them. I mean, obviously, they're quite often daft as well because when you read them, you think, okay, that was the story. But sometimes it just describes it in such a way that you think, was it like that? That wasn't my opinion of that story at all. But still, the Mimic versus the Super Adaptoid. That was X-Men 29, which is true, but I think the X-Men did sort of appear in the story. But, you know, I guess that's the case. And others, the Leapfrog. Good old, you'll see his battle with Leapfrog. It's a sensation. I wouldn't go as far as that, but it still was quite good. Marvel Collector's Item Classic, and of course, Fabulous Fantastic Four, Invincible Iron Man, Dynamic Doctor Strange. Dynamic. They always had that alliteration. How weird. I wouldn't have said dynamic Doctor Strange, but the final story, Captain America, obviously Golden Age one. This is from Captain America number 7. This is 1941, and it's about baseball, a sport I'm not particularly familiar with, being obviously from the UK, but still brilliant Jack Kirby artwork all the way through. You can virtually work out who the villain is right from the start. It's not the Red Skull. Could be, of course. Red Skull turned up quite a bit. However, brilliant bit of artwork. However, obviously not cleaned up or restored and probably much nicer than the more modern versions. Again, to the individual to decide whether they like this version or whether they like the more sort of cleaner one. Now, I love the villain, the Black Toad. Not the world's greatest name. Really, I don't think so. However, obviously, a bit more like a sort of Batman-like character. Yeah, you know he wasn't going to go... He didn't have a long run, obviously, as a character, the Black Toad. Really? But maybe he turned up later, of course, in the X-Men, maybe. And that's that. So all the way through to the end. And I always loved the last bit, actually. It was always quite good. 200 World War II soldiers. Can't beat that. $1.98 apparently back then. And of course the hobby kits, the back. Look at that, lovely one there. I expect they're very collectible now. Oh, I love old Craven there and Spidey there. And the Hulk, of course, as well as Captain America. I don't know if there are any other ones. Make it all-star series, build them all, 98 cents each. Wow, that's pretty good. I suspect they're much more expensive than that nowadays. However, I love these. I really do. From the golden age of Marvel, I wish they had continued with this series. Unfortunately, of course, they didn't. They stopped with, I think it turned into the Marvel Superheroes one. And, well, had some good ones. The Phantom Eagle, Medusa, etc. Doctor Doom. Many great stories in those as well. And they also had sort of backup features in those as well. But at the same time, I did enjoy these fantasy masterpieces. And I wish they'd continued for many issues beyond that. But I guess they probably, I don't know, maybe they didn't have many great sales, or maybe it was just too hard, or they didn't have the material to do all these things. But there was because there's so many golden age stories like 1947, 48, that sort of period, 46, etc., that still haven't been reprinted. And I would have, it's such a pity that they haven't, because I'm certain there's some great stories, probably some awful stories as well, but probably quite a few decent stories that deserve a bit more of a, not just the early ones, obviously the classic quotes, classic stories that everyone goes for. But anyway, still, these were great and I loved them. So now I hope I can pick up some more issues as tatty as possible. And I don't know how much I paid for this one. Probably not very much, 50p I expect. Well, very, very enjoyable. Worth checking out. If you see a copy of Fantasy Masterpiece, always worth picking up a copy of that.